Imagine a courtroom in the heart of Rome. The judge is furious, the clergy are scandalized, and the accused? He's been dead for over 7 months. This isn't fiction. This is one of the most bizarre moments in papal history, the Cadaver Synod of 897 AD. Before we dive into this macabre tale of power, revenge, and a trial beyond the grave, make sure to follow our channel and stay with us until the end for a twist that will leave you speechless. To understand why Pope Formosus's corpse was dug up and put on trial, we must first step into the chaos that was 9th century Rome. The Carolingian Empire was unraveling. The Holy Roman Empire was a title more than a reality. Factions fought viciously for influence over the papacy, and the Vatican was less a sanctuary and more a battleground. Formosus had been embroiled in these power struggles long before he became pope in 891. His involvement with controversial bishops and kings drew enemies like flies to a corpse, quite literally, as we'll see. He had once been excommunicated, then reinstated. He supported the crowning of Arnulf of Carinthia as emperor, an act that enraged rival factions, especially those loyal to Lambert of Spoleto. When Formosus died in 896, his enemies were just getting started. Enter Pope Stephen VI, a man installed largely due to the influence of the Spoleto family. Stephen was pressured, or possibly willingly complicit, in seeking revenge for the perceived betrayals of Pope Formosus. But instead of condemning him through records or politics, they sought to destroy his legacy in the most grotesque way imaginable, by putting his corpse on trial. This was no ordinary political scandal. This was a trial intended to humiliate a man who could no longer speak in his own defense. Stephen VI ordered Formosus's body exhumed from its tomb in St. Peter's Basilica, dressed in papal robes and propped up on a throne in front of an ecclesiastical court. The spectacle was known as the Synodus Horrenda, or Cadaver Synod. With a deacon appointed to speak on behalf of the corpse, Formosus was accused of usurping the papacy, violating canon law, and illegally transferring bishops, including himself, from one seat to another. The image was surreal. Pope Stephen screamed accusations at a lifeless, decomposed figure. The synod, predictably, found Formosus guilty. His papal acts were annulled. His fingers of benediction were cut off. His corpse was stripped of vestments, dragged through the streets, and finally thrown into the Tiber River. But even this act of posthumous vengeance didn't put Formosus to rest, or his legacy. The Roman people were horrified. Even in an era of violence and intrigue, this desecration went too far. Riots broke out. The moral and political backlash was immediate and severe. Pope Stephen VI, the orchestrator of the trial, quickly fell from grace. He was imprisoned and ultimately strangled in his cell, a grim fate perhaps fitting the man who judged the dead. In the months that followed, Pope Theodore II took swift action to undo the Cadaver Synod's decisions. Formosus's body was recovered from the Tiber, reburied with honor, and his papacy reinstated. His successor, Pope John IX, convened a synod that declared the Cadaver Synod invalid and banned future trials of the dead. Yet the damage was already done. The event became a dark stain on the Church's history, a reminder of the perils of political vendetta and spiritual hypocrisy. So why, really, did this grotesque spectacle happen? Historians point to a mix of political revenge, religious extremism, and the fragile state of the Church. Formosus had tried to navigate between warring factions. But when one side gained the upper hand, they used the Church itself as a weapon. Stephen VI's role has been debated. Was he coerced by the Spoletos, or was he a willing participant in this blasphemous trial? The truth may be a mix of both. Regardless, his downfall showed that even in a time of fractured empires and weak popes, public outrage still carried weight. The Cadaver Synod remains a morbid curiosity for many, but its implications are deeply serious. It reflects a church entangled in political alliances where faith was often secondary to power. It also raises ethical questions still relevant today. What happens when institutions lose their moral compass? How far will individuals go to preserve influence, even at the cost of sacred tradition? And perhaps most hauntingly, what does it mean when the dead are not allowed to rest? Centuries have passed since that ghastly day in 897, yet the image of a dead pope on trial still lingers in history books and imaginations. It serves as a chilling parable, a moment when justice was distorted by rage, and when the church became a stage for the grotesque. Thank you for watching. If this strange tale fascinated you, imagine how many other hidden stories history holds. Comment your thoughts about this bizarre trial, and subscribe for more stories you won't hear in school.